We're coming to you live from APATS 2025 here in Singapore, and I'm delighted to introduce with us Philip Adrian. Philip has tremendous knowledge about the aviation industry, and we're going to talk to him about a very special topic. Philip, thanks for joining us, and I'd request you to give us a background on yourself.
Well, I'm Captain Philip Adrian. I'm a pilot by trade. I'm currently the CEO of MPS, which is a training device manufacturer, so we build simulators. And I've been involved in training for 35 years. I've been involved in the regulatory aspect as well as the training delivery. And that's why it's so important to have these kind of conferences to come together with the training experts.
Thanks, Philip. We'd like to get right down to it. And can you explain why we have a heads of training meeting?
So the heads of training meeting started at the behest of EASA at EATS. Now there are 3 worldwide shows, EATS, APATS and WATS. APATS is where we are today. But at EATS, EASA requested the ATPG, the Aircrew Training Policy Group, to function as a kind of between industry and the regulator. And we found it very important to hear what industry has to say and then identify what we can do with that information, either making the regulations better, adjusting the interpretation, getting all the information that we need from a collaborative approach instead of from individual organizations. And so what we have seen since that time is that the heads of training meeting at EATS, which was very valuable, has led to a heads of training meeting preceding WATS and APATS as well.
Can you take us through the value for the participants in a heads of training meeting?
So the value for the participants comes from the joint approach. Either under EASA you have a combined regulatory approach. Under the FAA, you have a single regulator. Here in Asia, you have multiple regulators. However, the problems of the airlines are international. They're global. And so what happens now is, in combination with Halldale, we identify the important questions that are there for industry. And that means that we have normally at a heads of training meeting 10 tables. And those tables are always identified by a subject. And those subjects yesterday were ranging from the use of AI to the capabilities and the competencies of a head of training to a regulatory update, the table I had the honor of hosting, and many other things that we know are important to the participants. The value, to come back to your question, for the participants is that they can exchange their information with other airlines, with other decision makers from that airlines, with the experts from around the world. And with that, we get a global picture. And only through a global picture can we start addressing the issues that are there. Without knowing what we need to address, we cannot make the next step and make the changes. So the value is there to come share the information, and most likely the ones that have the problem also know what the solution should be. So instead of identifying and venting about the problems that you have, you're now with a group of peers, with a group of decision makers, and maybe somebody else has already addressed the problem that you have. Bringing those people together in an informal setting and getting the opinion of many, and for Halldale to bring that back through the ATLF, the leader forum, and identifying worldwide what is going on in aviation gives us as an industry a leg up to go with a combined approach to the regulator and make the changes that we need.
What would you say were the takeaways from yesterday's heads of training meeting? And how do you suggest we make it even more valuable for the participants who attend our heads of training meeting?
So the takeaways from individual tables will be shared by Halldale through the ATLF. So the important part is that we're looking for solutions. We're not identifying problems. It is too easy to look for problems, and everybody's problem might be different. What we're looking for is combined issues and combined solutions. A great example of this is what we had with EASA and the airlines that are represented in the ATPG. where we saw a mismatch between the MCC requirements and the actual airline hiring requirements. With the ATPG, we then worked on the approach to address that, and that led to the European adoption of the APS MCC, which is now a better way for both the students and the airlines to do the training and to have a better mousetrap. And in the end, we're all in it for the same better, higher quality training. So what we need to identify and what we need to continue to do is identify the problems that we have, but with the solutions attached to them so that we can get to the higher level. And whether that's with your local regulator, whether that's with EASA as a transnational, with FAA as a national regulator, or even at the ICAO level, which was discussed yesterday, it is important to first know what we want to address.
Thank you, Philip, for that fantastic insight. And before we let you go, how has your experience been at APATS?
APATS is always great. It's great to be here in Singapore, next year in Bangkok, so that'd be interesting as well. It's always good to see people coming together and putting their heads together with regard to training. So I commend Halldale and I thank Halldale for this opportunity, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak.
Thank you for your time, Philip.
All right, thank you so much.
So that's a very interesting insight. And what's the takeaway from it all? Make sure you attend the Heads of Training meeting the next time we're having it in Bangkok at APATS. Thank you, guys.
Or next time at EATS in Portugal, because we'll have one there as well.